Hello and welcome to Hell. All the signs are here that we're stuck in eternal damnation. A canyon full of screaming ghosts? Check. A giant flaming skull on the wall? A bit on the nose, but check. Oh, and don't forget queues that put Disneyland to shame. Difference is, at the end of Disneyland's queues, you get to ride Space Mountain instead of taking the world's saddest boat trip on a river made of tears. And if you had a last shred of doubt, this place even has crate-pushing puzzles. Truly, this place is the worst. Why is Rock Paper Shotgun in Hell? No, it's not for buying games from the Epic Store, God have mercy on my soul, but due to the second dose of Assassin's Creed Odyssey's The Fate of Atlantis DLC. This is episode 2, The Torment of Hades, and as the title suggests, we're in the underworld of Greek mythology. This is home to the naughty souls who didn't make it to Elysium and is ruled over by Hades himself. Or is it that dark elf dude from the second Thor movie? Either way, it's another big chunk of extra Creed, a bit more mechanically quirky than the last and offering real payoff for some stories in the main game. Mainly by answering a question: what would happen if you had to meet everyone you killed in the afterlife? That's gonna be totes orcs. In this breakdown of what I did and didn't like about the episode, what better place to start than the world itself? The Underworld is what happens when the fields of Elysium enter their difficult teenage years. We're talking plains of barren rock, we're talking hounds of Hades snapping at your horse's ankles, we're talking about beasts we're relieved are only in skeleton form.
What could those bones belong to?
We're talking about climbing up to synchronization points only to see everything is dead for miles. Those aren't tears in Cassandra's eyes, it's sweat from the climb. Honest. I mean, I get it. This is Hades' whole deal. He's less about location, and more about damnation. We love what he's done with the place. All the dead trees and the choking embers on the wind, but what's with the giant statues of his ex? Come on dude, Persephone is over you. Have a bit of self-respect. There are plenty more fish in the sea. Oh wait, all the bodies of water are toxic and the fish are dead. If it doesn't have that natural wow factor of Elysium's floral islands and waterfalls, the Underworld does deliver another big slice of adventure totally different to the main campaign. I mean, Greece had minging bits, sure, but this is more like something you'd expect to see in Shadows of Mordor. So even when the game has you clearing out your millionth enemy camp, there's still a spark of excitement from doing it in an unusual setting. Another trick Torment of Hades repeats from Fields of Elysium is giving you a quirky cast to have adventures with. It's not quite the who's who of Greek deities we got in the first episode, but Hades and Charon give it a bit of celeb power and we finally get the Cerberus encounter promised by the last episode.
Bad dog!
Unfortunately, it's a bit of a naff and tiresome boss fight, drawing on for too long and kicking the episode off with a bit of a sharp difficulty spike. In this sense, it's a good taster of things to come. As I'll explain later, Torment of Hades is out to test your grasp of every combat trick you've learned. The magic bit is how the game throws back to the main campaign. I mean, everyone who died during your epic quest? Yeah, they're probably down here somewhere. I was really surprised by some of the people I found stuck in hell, and you should be able to enjoy the revelations too. For my money, it gives the game some of its best writing as Cassandra or Alexios has to face up to the people they've wronged or failed. One storyline about breaking the news to someone that they are in hell is one of the more touching scenes in Odyssey. It works way better than the Rush Baby storyline in the earlier DLC. The designers have said the Fate of Atlantis arc is a love letter to long-term fans, something that didn't come through in the Elysium story, by delivering a proper full stop on some earlier events. This rewards the people who put in the time. It also means that while you can use a shortcut to jump straight to the DLC, doing so undermines what makes it great. The recurring problem with Odyssey's DLC is the aversion to new mechanics. Ubisoft take the bubble and squeak approach to DLC. All the leftover vegetables of the main game pan-seared into a new mush. Elysium's Isu fighters sprinkled with a dash of combat spice into the dish, and they return here with their annoying lightning attacks. But if you hope for something substantial, you'll probably dig Torment of Hades' Tartarus Rifts. In Greek mythology, Tartarus is an even nastier level of hell. Wikipedia calls it a deep abyss that is used as a dungeon of torment and suffering, or as I call it today, Twitter. Tartarus Rifts see these prisoners bubble to the surface as shaded warriors. These guys with a spray on tan even Trump would think is a bit much. Problem is, while they can attack you, you can't lay a finger on them until you step through a rift. Oh, and stepping through permanently halves your health until you kill everyone attached to that portal. Good luck with that. Finally, an idea with some potential. Get spotted before you find the rift and you're stuck in a fight you can't take part in, turning it into a desperate scavenger hunt to find the door to the fight. A better approach is to sneak around and enter the rift undetected, and then you can treat it as a stealth puzzle. I like this as the rifts are often in the middle of enemy gangs, meaning you can't rely on the classic Creed technique of picking off everyone on the perimeter and working inwards. You've got to find a route that works. The really clever bit is when two rifts sit near each other. You can only enter one at a time, so you could potentially be stuck in a fight with both rift warriors you can hit and rift warriors you can't. This becomes a much more satisfying stealth puzzle than we've seen anywhere in Odyssey, where you have to kill two groups separately without the other catching on. Sure, it still involves a lot of hiding in bushes, whistling and then stabbing. It's not that revolutionary, but it's a cool twist that gives Hades' realm a flavour all of its own. If you played the Elysium episode, you'll likely be doing this lot. It's the Rage of Ares, one of the enhanced skills you learn from finding the Keeper's insights. Hades has more skill makeovers hidden in his backyard. Take Kronos Time Shift for example. An upgrade to the Vanish skill, this stuns people, but does it by launching you into the air like a flesh firework, and slows time letting you rain down some arrow headshots or use your new hype for a stabbing ground pound. It can be combined with other hunter abilities, basically setting up enemies for you to do whatever arrow-flavoured horrors you like. Just don't perform it in a bungalow or any other low-ceiling domicile. Sticking with arrows, Artemis's trickery borrows devastating shots and turns it into the ability to fire projectiles to place proximity mines on the floor. Considering the Isu warriors have the ability to place lots of red explosives on the ground, it is fun turning it back on them. It's a little underpowered as far as damage goes, especially considering how much Torment of Hades focuses on boss fights with mammoth health bars. The option to lay traps in advance makes sense with smaller enemies, so it would have been more useful earlier in the main campaign when we spent all our days picking on weaklings. The final enhancement is a double-edged sword. Ares' Last Breath makes you immune to damage, gives you 5% of the damage you deal as health, and auto-parries melee hits. It basically makes you the unstoppable god you are, letting you refill a health bar with unimpeded whacks. Problem is, it replaces Second Wind, your main healing skill. If you go for Last Breath, you're basically gambling on being able to last longer as the recharge time is much slower than Last Breath. So which is it to be? Lots of small health pick-me-ups or one mega burst of energy? When the screen is flashing red in pain and the power is still 10 seconds from a second burst, you may regret playing with old reliables. Another thing that's interesting about Odyssey's DLC is how each chunk has focused on a different system from the main game. Legacy of the First Blade was a smaller version of the Cultist system, a mini conspiracy to stab your way through, and Fields of Elysium focused on the balance of power, where you loosen a leader's military grip on a region by whittling away at forts and supply lines. Hades continues the habit, this time borrowing the mercenary system. Only here it's called the Fallen, and instead of climbing the ranks by taking down mercenaries, you're picking off the worst people in the Underworld. Again, it's a huge bit of fan service for people who fought through the cultists and side quests in the main story, because these aren't just any old Doom Souls, but the people you've already met and killed once. Like the Poisoner of Athens here, remember him? If you need a reminder of what he did in the campaign, his name is the Poisoner of Athens. So you get to go round 2 with his toxic blades and his snake friends littering the arena. Only this time the battleground is a swamp made entirely of poison, so there's only about 5% of stuff on screen that won't cause Cassandra to hack up a lung. Fun. It's neat seeing which people made the cut and how cross they are to be meeting you again. Make sure to turn on subtitles if you don't want to miss battle chat packed with references to how pissed off they are. But better than that, it turns the DLC into an epic boss rush. These are tough enemies, but more importantly, they are enemies with all kinds of weaknesses and strengths, outlined on the Fallen menu screen. It's an opportunity to dig into character builds and find the best mix of powers and equipment to even the odds. One of my problems with Creed's endgame is that really hard quests give you items that don't have much use beyond the quest that gave them to you. Here, there's a reason to dip into your wider inventory. And there are some cruel fights. Remember Deianira and Astra? In the main game, you kill one to draw out the other. Well, here they become an evil tag team that can barbecue you on the spot. I can't remember the last time I had to work this hard to win. Trying everything from sneaking up and assassinating one of the sisters, it didn't work, to trying to cheese them from afar with arrows, to trying to lure one up onto the cliffs while I deck the other down below. After the relatively soft challenge of the last few DLCs, this is a meaty challenge. The only area I feel Torment of Hades lets itself down is its main central questline to recruit 4 legendary heroes. Having decked the 3-headed pooch who's meant to guard over the Underworld, you're asked to find 4 worthy replacements. On paper, this sounded like it was going to be another joyride through Greek myth. Seeing names like Perseus and Achilles pop up as objectives is a bit of a thrill, but the fights themselves are really flat. Just a continuation of the Fallen fights you've been doing elsewhere. I mean, they have slightly flashier techniques. Perseus gets an invisibility shield and an impressive range of magic lightning bolts, but it's hard to believe moves this tame ever brought down Medusa. I mean, I fought Medusa in the main game. She was hard as nails. No way this chump and his cloak of invisibility did the trick. The fight is over in the blink of an eye and the character just sort of shrugs it off.
Snap out of it, Perseus! We're allies, and I need your help. Go to the gates and protect this place.
That sounds more like a mum chastising her kid for missing his tea for staying out of the park too much. Achilles is a similar bust. If you want an idea of how little thought has gone into this character, look at his strengths and weaknesses screen. Why doesn't it say his heel? Probably the most famous weakness in the history of weaknesses. The weakness that became shorthand for all weaknesses. I even tried shooting him in the heel with no obvious effect. Instead, it's another case of wait for the Rage of Ares to recharge and hit him with a magic stick. In a DLC chapter that works really hard to dot the I's and cross the T's, this is really sloppy, underwhelming boss design. I don't mean to end on a down note, but I guess that's the message of the DLC. While I still prefer the wondrous setting of Elysium, I think this game's mechanical tweaks, combat challenges, and storyline payoffs make it feel a bit more important in the wider scheme of things. It certainly leaves me excited to see what they do in the third and final slice of the DLC. 2 episodes down, it's doing way more to justify the asking price than Legacy of the First Blade. This is a solid 7 hours or so of extra adventuring at least. If you have any questions about the DLC, do ask them in the comments and share your thoughts on the DLC so far. Last episode, lots of people stepped in to defend Legacy of the First Blade. Did we miss the point entirely with that one? Let us know in the politest language possible. Thanks for watching and hopefully see you soon.